Now you're ready to expose the screen. The ultraviolet light from the exposure unit strikes the coated screen, causing it to harden. The procedure is to register or line up the image, attach the image to the screen, then expose the screen. To do this, you will need a coated screen, a film positive, tape, T-square, or Hicks Kingpin registration system, and an exposure unit. First, give the glass surface of the exposure unit a good wipe down to remove any dust. The screen is light sensitive, so turn down the lights. Set the screen on the table so that the contact side, or the side with the screen, is facing up. Set the film positive image on the screen with the printed side down. If you are using the T-square method, center the stencil on the screen from side to side. Then measure the distance from the bottom of the screen to the registration marks and square them with the T-square. Note the distance of the registration marks from the bottom and left edge of the screen so that you can set each film positive in exactly the same place. Many screen printers mark their T-squares to make this job easier. Carefully tape the film positive to the screen. Then set the screen image side down on the exposure unit. A fast, accurate way to register the images is the Hicks Kingpin system. In this case, we're doing a two-color print job. To use it, tape together the film positives for the different colors. This will fit the pins on the docking bracket. The neck of the t-shirt is toward the top of the design. Punch holes on the bottom of the film positives. Then cut the film positives apart and set the first one on the docking bracket. The pin on the docking bracket fits into a hole on the screen frame for accurate and consistent registration of the images. With a system this fast and easy, who needs a T-square? The exposure calculator is a piece of film with a graduated scale on it. It will help you determine whether the screen had the correct amount of exposure. Experienced screen printers use them often because the emulsion sensitivity and the light intensity of the exposure unit may change over time. Tape it onto the emulsion, off to the side of the image. If this is your first time using a particular screen mesh, emulsion, or exposure unit, consider using a sheet of filters on the screen to find the best exposure time. After all this, you're finally ready to expose the emulsion. The exposure table used here is the Hicks TT180, which works well for general screen printing. Lay the bleeder cords over the frame to the middle of the screen. The bleeder cord helps air escape from inside the frame when you pull the vacuum. This provides close contact between the film positive and the screen for a sharp image. Close the cover of the exposure table. Turn on the vacuum. The rubber top will conform to the shape of the screen, and you should see the outline of the bleeder cord. It's important that the screen be tight against the film positive in order to avoid undercutting. This animation shows what happens. The film positive is placed against the glass plate on the exposure unit. The screen goes on top of the film positive, and the lid closes. If you were to turn on the light now, any gap between the screen and the film positive would allow light to scatter, giving a blurred image on the screen. As the vacuum draws down the blanket, it presses the film positive tightly against the screen, which results in a sharp image with good detail. Now set the timer. For this screen, we'll use a 2-minute exposure time. Then turn on the light. After the timer shuts off the lights, turn off the vacuum and open the top. Remove the screen frame from the exposure table. Then, remove the film positive and the exposure calculator. You're now ready to wash off all the unexposed emulsion.